Hi, a very good evening. I'm Ifra. I'm principal correspondent with ThePrint. Today we're here to talk about how safe our India's airlines are. So you would be aware, considering the past incidents, there have been technical glitches which have raised the passengers' concerns. So going back in 2017, the air safety incidents and prompted regulatory action that had reached 280 this year. That's specifically 2017, which would beat the 2075 fall of the last year. That was 2016 data. And that was India's DGCA had submitted this kind of a figure that at this pace, the number which was risen to more than 400 by the end of 2016, it made it rare for the Indian regulator to ground aircraft. So now, today we are basically and specifically talking about that who is responsible in all of these airlines default and technical and various technical glitches which are going on. So it's of course and definitely the DGCA which is responsible, but how they're coming forward specifically that and what is the responsibility in these kind of cases. So it is almost like they're acting like an air force which we kind of reply to them, but we don't remember if DGCA ever made an investigative report very transparent to public and said that yes, these kind of faults were made, or ever they admitted kind of a complaint which came to them. So we have questions already. We have a question from Nikhil which says that our aircrafts are really robust. So is it the Indian airwork ethic or lack thereof which is damaging or violating the safety norms or aviation? So I believe yes. We'll go back to the recent incident of Boeing 777, which was actually, there were 370 passengers on board, and India's flagship, which is considered to be India's flagship flight, which tried and failed to land at the New York. So now, in that case, they kind of said that, we don't have any kind of, all the ILS functions were all malfunctioned at that particular time, but DGCA said that the investigation is still on. But now, all three instrumental landing system kind of malfunction, all of these fuel problems and other things going all in the criteria. But then that was a key system, that ILS, which was a key system that helps pilots align the jet with the runway during in Air India, the weather conditions. So now the things were that there were examples given that in the previous other air crashes or probably these kind of incidents which had happened in the past, there was an incident where the pilots themselves, to avoid all of the warning issues, they had shut that off. So because of that, the warning went off and these kind of incidents take place. So another question is from Nandita, who says that in terms of fatal accidents over the years, where do we stand? So So yes, in the aviation safety audit that was conducted late last year by the United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization, India had slipped below its previous ranking of 66% to 57%, and that was kind of a huge fall largely. Now at present, if we talk about that, India is one of the 15 countries that are below the minimum targets also in cases of fatal accidents, or just specifically talking about the safety. And if we talk about the safety oversight score, then it is lower than even the Bangladesh also. Another question is from Hansa, is the DGCA really cracking down on the safety violations by the airlines? So again, the same question arises. The DGCA is actually acting like the armed forces, very reserved in these kind of cases when it comes to submitting the reports in terms of the safety audit. They're not bringing any transparency so far, not even a single incident which has been reported in the past 1 year or probably 2 years. No report has come up which says that, this kind of a thing has actually gone wrong. Where have they gone wrong? It's just that they come up with a conclusion which says investigation is on and will report that. So we can definitely go back to certain incidents in the past 3 months, specifically September and then October, where Jet Airways incident, there was a Mumbai Jaipur flight that had to turn back after taking off because the cabin crew had forgotten to select and switch to maintain the cabin pressure. And the passengers, what had led to that, the bleeding noses and ears had to be treated. And another incident which was again the Air India's Boeing 777, which we've already talked about. And again the recent one, an Air Indian plane hitting a wall as it immediately took off. So leaving parts of the aircraft on the ground, which DGCA said that we found some. But again, in this case also the investigation is on. Another question we have from Manish, he says, even when we say that aviation is the safest mode of transport, do you think traveling by air is getting riskier considering the events of the past? So I believe yes. I mean, it's kind of raising these kind of technical glitches. Maybe, I mean, it has not led to any kind of a fatality in the past 3 months, the incidents, but these kind of technical glitches have raised the passengers' concerns at least. So again, these kind of 3 incidents, the Jet Airways and then again the Boeing 777, which is actually considered to be an emergency landing, and they failed to actually land at a particular place in this New York. And then again, this Air India hitting a wall as it immediately took off. It's kind of a not kind of an impossible thing which could have taken place. And then the pilot continued with the flight as nothing had happened, literally. So another question we've received is from Lokesh. Some airplanes in the current fleet are old. Are there checks periodically to see if they're airworthy? How frequent are these tests conducted? In this case, we had filed an RTI also, and we received a reply which says that yes, there are frequent checks by the DGCA, and there's a committee constituted. And in the past 3 incidents at which we have reported and mentioned about, so there was a committee also constituted specifically by the Ministry of Civil Aviation to take care of all of these things. But then again, the cases and the minister even comes up with a conclusion himself that investigation is on. So there's no report yet which has come alive or probably made public to even prove that these kind of things will not be repeated again or not. So there's a question from Nina who says that there are reports of pilots failing the psychological test. Is this true? In case, probably the reports of pilots failing psychological test, it's like there are many. In this, for example, if we consider the example of Boeing 777, where there were speculations that probably there were 3 major pilots was sitting inside and they probably failed it was kind of a nervous system that probably failed, not the malfunctioning happened in the aircraft. So yes, but there's no report as such proven that, for example, the Civil Aviation Ministry and even the DGCA said that, our Air India pilots are the best and they've done their best to the best whatever they could have done. Another question is that from Rahiba, what steps does the government need to take in order to address the callous attitude of airlines? Okay, so in this case, obviously the Civil Aviation Ministry comes second, but DGCA has to participate in it, and the first thing that they can start with doing and making the reports public, such that people know that what is the investigation all about and who all are the members of that particular committee which are actually taking care of and what had actually happened. Because we have seen so many crashes in the past, but not even once we've come across or probably got to know that what was the reason behind it. And so these kind of things have really led to, again, the passengers' concerns, which we say. So yeah, we're not supposedly, for example, back in 1990, there was an incident of a 320 planes operated by the Indian Airlines again were grounded following a delay crash. So these kind of incidents have been happening time and again, but it's just that we need to take care of all of these things and taken care by the DGCA. So I believe that was the last question, and here we wrap up, and for the new updates and all, keep watching, and we'll come up tomorrow again for the next question. Thank you so much.